champions, welcome to another podcast with us, the champions of Tabletop. I am joined once again by my esteemed colleagues, Dion, your friendly local game store owner, Shay, the aspiring kickstarting developer, and behind the board, our soon-to-be published Free Blades faction creator, Brandon, and then just me, Matt. So
just this guy over here.
Just this guy, the guy who spends money. So... I mean, hey, it's just a fact.
That works.
I had to buy my way onto the show. So let that be a lesson, kids. You want a podcast, you just got to buy your way on, especially if you don't have any talents.
Wow.
Oh, dang, no, we're not starting with that self. No, you have talents.
We just haven't found them yet. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. I laid it up.
Hidden talents.
I was waiting for it.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Now that my esteem is taking a big... Crush,
You started
let's go
with
ahead
yourself.
and thank our partners this week. Of course, we have Voss Media Board Game Cafe in the city, village of Galesburg, Michigan.
Beautiful downtown Galesburg.
I didn't want to go that far.
Okay.
But it is there. It's on the map.
It is on the map. We're in a good spot right in between Kalamazoo and Battle Creek.
That's right. There is
Where
a
all the cereal's
Kalamazoo.
made. So.
That's right. That's right. You can
We got
sometimes smell it in the air. With that said, gentlemen, you can sometimes. Have you never been?
Never been to Battle Creek?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to Battle
Cereal
Creek.
City.
I know it's Cereal City. I lived here all my
Home
life.
of Keneva? I forget how they say their name now. It's no longer Kellogg.
Is
Really?
They changed
Yeah.
it? I didn't know.
Kellanova.
Kellanova, yeah.
Kellanova, and then the.
Did they change all the
JP
boxes too,
Kellogg.
like Kellanova?
No.
Well, they broke their snack foods and their cereal.
Well, me being as big as I am, I should know this. Like, I like
Right.
their snack foods, so.
Well, I won't get into the financial analyst side of that. We'll let that drop because
Sweet.
this is
Gotcha.
a board game show, not a financial show.
Sure.
And I don't want to
sidetrack.
Bold
Sidetrack,
dice.
ladies and gentlemen. Easy to do.
for things that I can't go into. So with that said, gentlemen, let's talk about our comments. Our last video that just went out was our top games of 2024 that we were looking forward to. We're glad that it's getting so many views, and please make sure you go check out that video, and comment on it. It means the world to us, really helps the algorithm. So with that, if you want your comments read, please make sure to go into the comment section, leave those comments on both YouTube and Spotify. We check it all, and we'd love to read your comment as part of the support of the channel. So thank you for the time on that. Gentlemen, fall on the sword. Do you guys have anything for this week that you want to call each other out on?
I have nothing. I think I was phenomenal last episode.
I definitely wasn't phenomenal, but I'm sure I did something.
I mean, I'm going to give myself the MVP award because I came in sick. I came in so sick, I left you sick
I'm
from my
sick now this week, so.
Yeah, you're playing hurt. So you are going to be comeback player of the week next week.
Is that what it is? Is that how it works?
That's how it
Gotcha.
works. Yep.
Well,
I'm like
I did
Jordan.
hear
I got
that
a
you were
code and I'm
sick
still
last
pulling it off, so I
Right.
got a cold. You know.
Exactly.
I did hear that you were sick last week.
Yeah, I had pneumia. I don't know
Yeah,
if you guys knew that.
Yeah.
Wow, did
Yeah.
not know that.
Yeah, that was
yeah.
probably
So
should have
glad you
said
brought that
something
up.
a few more times.
Yeah,
Yes,
wow.
I didn't.
So
we
I don't know if we had
totally
a-
skipped that
I
part.
don't know if we had a counter on that one, but I feel like I gave you ample warning. Yet you guys still tried to cuddle me off of camera, and
I don't know what you're talking about.
it was
Cuddle you
cold. It was
off.
cold winter Michigan night, and the boys just tried to cuddle me to keep me warm.
I don't. What? I don't.
Friends, like a friend thing. Like
Yeah.
I don't
friend
think
thing.
friends
I don't,
do.
I don't like that at all. I don't-
like we're all
I mean-
married, but
I
like
mean, yeah,
just
but
pure friend
sometime-
thing keeps each other
Sometimes
warm.
guys got to cuddle. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
okay,
it was
okay.
completely
Well, very
platonic,
comfortable.
nothing weird.
Oh, okay. Fair
Just
enough.
what you do. It was cold.
It's cold.
So we do it in
Baby,
Michigan.
it's cold. No, can't do that.
You can't do that anymore. That's,
Why can't I do that one?
yeah, that's
Oh.
totally against. Like,
Totally against TOS. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to pay for it.
Exactly.
So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the industry news of the week. So this week, we're gonna have a very. You want to say something?
Yeah, I love the fact that 3 completely like news people get to present board game news every week.
Hey, I don't know. I
love
study
this
for the
fact
5
that we're like news that we're just gonna give you every week because
Well,
not
I'll
a whole
tell you
lot
what.
happens in the board game industry to give news. You know, I did find this really cool website, and this is kind of off subject, but that tells you every single game that is hitting Kickstarter this week, like between this week, like February 5th to whatever, just kind of neat. I thought that's something. Would be
Well,
nice to
I
add it
will
in.
tell you that one of the things that's been talked about on the Board Game Geek Facebook page is it's hard to find podcasts that provide consistent news in the industry. And I linked our podcast.
Nice.
Because it's
there
something
you
that we
go.
actively do because most people don't really necessarily highlight that.
Never pictured me as a news person. That's all, or us, I should say. But that's fine. We'll go ahead. Go ahead.
We're here to serve and protect
Boom.
the
Serve and
community
protect.
with
Serve and protect.
important information. So with that, we're going to go ahead and dive into our first news topic of the week. And this is going to be a very heavy D&D week because I don't know if you guys heard some of the what have now been debunked rumors that a American classic since the 1970s was about to go overseas. Gentlemen, the rumors on the street that absolutely rocked the Wizards of the Coast world was the hypothetical conversation around D&D being sold from Hasbro to the Chinese mega conglomerate Tencent. It has since come out that this is not factual. However, what we have to remember when we dive into the information for this conversation is that Tencent and Hasbro do have relationships. And the fact of the matter is that if you do want to do business in China, you have to build partnerships with Chinese companies, as that is the only way to get into that country. And so with that said, they already have existing IP relationships. There's also further conversations around Baldur's Gate and other IPs that Tencent wants to get access to so they can bring them to the greater Chinese market. So I don't think that this is necessarily a dead in the water of a partnership between the two, but it's definitely not a we're going to sell the IP outright.
It was pretty crazy for a couple days, or for at least 24 hours, because when the news popped, there was a lot of people like, I'm never going to, this is crazy. Looks like we're playing Pathfinders, and it got really nuts. So it was pretty crazy there for that 24 hours until they came out the next day and said, whoa, 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 we're not doing that. We're not thinking of doing that. But you could come out and say, we're not doing that. We're not thinking of doing that. And it wouldn't put it past me. Because Hasbro is very money first. And if Tencent offered something decent, then why would you not? I don't know.
So when I heard the news, I thought about around Christmas when they fired a whole bunch of people.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so here goes what my thought process was.
Yeah.
Oh, you fired a lot of people, and now not only did you fire, you're now selling it, and I was heated.
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm happy. It makes sense.
Well, and the reality is that that's a pretty common trait to have happen in the corporate world. Is a lot of times you will see a lot of big corporations will dump debt or anything that falls in line with the liabilities category to help make the product line look more attractive financially.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, it's in, like, I come from the video game industry. We were approached by Tencent, and this is a small studio here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, S2 Games, to make Heroes of Newerth, which was a standalone MOBA game, one of the first. They wanted to join forces with us and buy us out, and we would produce the game, develop the game, they would publish and push it out. We said no. They went to another small company called Riot, joined forces with League of Legends, and they proceeded to kick our butts constantly every single month, blowing us away hundreds of thousands of concurrents because of that buying power that they had. And so a lot of people play League of Legends or have played League of Legends. Tencent can take you to a whole new level. I'm not behind selling to China, don't get me wrong. However, they could take you to a whole nother. If we would have there were 6 of us in the studio at that time. If I didn't have a choice, it wasn't my business. The owner made that choice. But if the owner of S2 Games would have said, you know what, let's partner up and go with this, we could have been the next League of Legends. I'd probably still be there today in business with them. So I mean, I'm not saying sell it. Hasbro's a pretty big company themselves. They know what they're doing. They're a big machine. Ish. Well, ish. But the only thing that bothers me about this whole thought process is this game isn't like 6 guys that created it from the ground up type of thing that built an online IP. This is a known that it's been built and developed by the community and starts ringing. It seems like every 6 months we get this. We're gonna start looking at our terms of service so we can no longer write on top of our stuff, and we're gonna charge you for it. And then they're like, wait, what? And they're like, oh no, never mind, just kidding. We didn't think you guys would react like this. We're sorry. And then now we get, hey, we're gonna sell to. They're like, no, we're not. Sorry, it wasn't real. So it seems like every 6 months we get this like somebody in Hasbro forgetting what made them who they are, right? It's the small communities and the people getting together and playing their game and making it what it is.
Well, and I think what you also have with this too is you have a large conglomerate that purchased a beloved brand with Wizards of the Coast. And so they don't have that emotional connection to the product line as it's something that they created. That's why I always say, like, when you're looking in investing, the best companies to invest in are the ones who are still run and operated by the people who invented the company. Because the father or mother of that company will love it in a way that the next CEO just can never love it. Like, take Apple, for example. Tim Cook will never love Apple the same way that Steve Jobs did. And you can go right down the list. There's a reason why Mark Zuckerberg is still in charge of Meta, is because he's the one who kind of created it. We'll go back to the Social Network movie. But the fact of the matter is that you have to be aware of the fact that when you invent it, it just means more to you because it's your creation. You love it in a way that nobody else can understand. And when I look at especially Hasbro's business, their stock in a year where we had an equities market last year that was up well into the 20 percentile, and yet Hasbro themselves is down over 18%, just in the last trailing year. So they're massively lagging the overall market. And then you go into the holiday season where you're starting to cut people. Well, those things align to the reality of, hey, this looks like something that they would very honestly do for the right price. The problem for Hasbro is Wizards of the Coast is about the only profitable center that they have, because Magic is by far and away their top brand, which they are milking for everything it's worth.
Yeah.
They are going to run out of juice in that orange. And D&D is the second most valuable, I believe, to the point where without those two brands, that company is really struggling. So, and they aren't able to make anything new, which I think is the biggest problem for for Hasbro. So that's why I was a little reluctant to believe the information when I first read it, because they don't have anything in the pipeline to take the place as the next cash cow. Because guess what? I don't know if you know this, Dion. Nobody's buying Schitt's Creek Monopoly at this point.
Well, I mean, nobody's really buying many books at this point. I don't sell retail D&D books. PDFs go sell. So I can't imagine it making a ton of money because they're not monetizing every store that's running D&D. You can't. You sell your. That's why when I seen it, it didn't blow me away. I was like, guys, you see this crap? And I sent it right away, like, oh my god. And I was on a group text with you guys telling, hey, look at this, because it didn't surprise me. It's something that they would do because they're not making. They just come out with a D&D paint with Vallejo. I mean, they're putting their tag on everything they can due to the value of what that name is to them.
Yeah.
So if Tencent came along and said, we're interested in that tag, we want to own it, that IP,
right?
It wouldn't surprise me. They're like, well, what are we talking?
Yeah. Well, and in the end of the day, if Tencent wants to buy it,
they're going to buy it.
They have the backing of the CCP, and they're going to buy it because they have
they're stupid,
unlimited money because it's all
rich.
Fake money.
Yeah.
But that's for another day.
Oh.
So, but at the end of the day, like I said, I think there's definitely a partnership and a relationship there. And Hasbro will be the first to tell you we have IP agreements because, again, you have to have that relationship to get into the Chinese market, which is obviously
but China doesn't give a shit about IPs.
One.
I mean, I've released their games over in that
but
origin.
I'm saying you have to go through them to get your IP there is what I'm saying.
I mean,
they don't care about IP law.
You don't have to go through them, but they
don't care about IP law. They'll just straight take it from you when you're there.
If you want to be successful in China, you have to team with a company like
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, which is like our Discord times a billion, right? Because everybody's on it. They have it on their phones. They have it on there. So, I mean, you can't, and they got billions of people. So if you want to be successful, you team up with something like that. So maybe they're going to release it over there or do something with it. Dragons work very well in China, believe it or not. So
it is the year of the dragon.
It is the year of the dragon. So it would not surprise me if D&D, the year of the dragon, sold to.
Right. But I don't know why you wouldn't want access.
That market. Billions more people. Yeah, and I mean it's not a horrible system. I mean they've been around forever, and you can get people that hate it, whatever. People build books off of it. It's a very well-known, easy system to use. The new 5th edition, I think, is easier than previous. So I mean,
what's the gold standard?
I mean, I'm not going to poop on it. It's not my cup of tea, but it doesn't mean it's horrible in any way. They've been around same thing with Magic. They've been around for 30 years. They're doing something right. right? And yes, it was the company that come before them, and they're selling it off to everybody. I think Fallout comes out the end of this month, you know, and then Brandon and I was also discussing that there is not a release of Magic that goes back to some of the original lore, which is what makes Magic what it is. So every release after that throughout the entire year has nothing to do with Magic's
Are
lore.
you gonna ignore the Magic 30th anniversary debacle?
I mean, they've made a lot of. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've only been doing this for 3 years in this industry. Before I was just a fan looking out from the outside in, and I wasn't a fan of Magic ever. So, and I've never really been a huge D&D fan. When I do tabletop RPGs, I like weird stuff like Altered Carbon or The Walking Dead. You would get me to the table with, you know, something like that, right? That's just me when I play. But I do feel that it wouldn't the mistakes that they made in the past year. It wouldn't surprise me if it does come out and go, oh, we didn't sell it, but they're now major stockholders or something like right in this brand, or they've purchased the right to use the IP in China or whatever it may be.
Or just, I think also where it could parlay into is just seeing the success of Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah.
You know, parlaying that into, I mean, you know it's going to be a mobile game.
Yeah.
Because that's what they love to do. But I could definitely see a partnership with Tencent parlay into some sort of digital IP within D&D. Like I said, after watching what Baldur's Gate did with Larian Studios. So
yeah, the Larian Studios, I mean, they knocked one out of the park there with that one. But
they did.
I mean, anyway, I mean, we're talking about something that is fake news, but it ends up being.
I think it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I don't think it's something you wait about 6 months and let's come back to it and see where it's setting, because I bet we'll be surprised at where they're at in 6 months if they actually did a deal with Tencent or going to do a deal with Tencent.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to move on to our second piece of D&D, and I thought this was more of just kind of an interesting topic. I want to give credit to Chase Carter, who is a contributing writer to Dicebreaker website. I just found this to be really fascinating. When I knew we were going to talk about D&D and Tencent, I thought this was kind of a neat story. So there's a gentleman who helped create RuneQuest, which of course was one of the oldest established tabletop RPG games set in a mythological fantasy realm. Well, it turns out that back in 1975,
Wow.
Right. So Greg Stafford is his name. It turns out a friend of his was at a store and they were making copies. And while he was there making the copies, it turns out that there was another gentleman that was there who was also making copies of a brand new game that he was inventing. And that game had a very interesting cover with a horse on its back legs, with big red letters on it that just said something called Dungeons and Dragons. So the two started a conversation at the time, and just in the conversation, they said, wow, you know, my friend is making a game too. Could I get a copy? And so for $10, right hot off the presses, this guy bought an original copy of D&D in a print shop.
Wow, that's cool. That's a good little accidental buy.
And little be known, it was somebody who also was creating a legendary game of RuneQuest as well. And I just had to think about, you know, in terms of like your collection, Dion, you've got 1,400 games, but would you say, do you have any gems like that?
I do. They're in the back. But usually the gems aren't gems that I knew were gems at the time. And that's usually what it is with board games. It's just games that you can no longer find. And they go, oh my gosh, you've got Magical Quest or Magic
Realm.
Magic Realm.
Yeah.
Like that's one that was bet on my shelf and everybody was like, that's like $800 on eBay. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah. I was like, I had it when I was a kid. Like I didn't know it was something that was anything worth anything. Somebody came in and sold me like a box of a bunch of old games, and I was like, oh, I had this when I was a kid. You know, so I put it on my shelf for people to pull out and play. They're like, no, put that in the back. That's a collector. So I did put it in the back for collecting purposes. But usually they're older games like that. And I don't remember what year that was released, but that was like my first RPG, and I'm using air quotes, ever that I ever played as a tabletop was Magic Quest or Magical Realm. Magical Realm.
Dion, you really shook your head. Do you have one?
No. I was thinking that. I was thinking about how complicated Magic Realm is, because
Yeah.
I really
Yeah,
wanted to because it was talked about as like the hardest game ever, and when I hear a challenge, I go for it. But no,
Yeah.
oh my, they had
Well,
tables
I mean,
on tables on tables on tables on
Keep
tables.
in mind, back then when board games, and I sound old as crap, which I am, by the way, they would have like math. Like you have to figure out columns that you're in and percentiles, and you'd have to do a lot of paper math in order to figure out, oh, did I hit or not? It wasn't as simple as roll your D20, add this. Did you hit? Yes. Is it more than this? Great. How much damage did I do? Roll some dice. It wasn't that simple. It was
Almost sounds
very
like Battle Quest,
statistical. What's that? Thaco?
The THACO system is the original D&D system. The 2-hit and AC 0, where you had to do math on that. The THACO of the monsters, what you hit if its AC was 0, so you got to roll a die, and then you can go negative on your AC, which meant they had to subtract that number from their hit roll. It was a hot
doozy.
mess.
Sounds
It was
fun.
a doozy.
Sounds fun.
It was a doozy. But I mean, when you're playing, you're using theater of the mind, right? Or you might have these little cardboard things
Until
that
you
you're
play,
using.
in which case you're just a statistician.
And then, and then I'm serious. Like math had to be a favorite subject for you in order to play some of these games.
Well, no wonder
This
math
and-
used to be so much better back in the day.
Well, that's probably it,
we need to
because
go
you
back to
had
the
to be
THACO
you had to be an engineer like Brandon in order to be like, oh, you got hit. Okay, good. What did I get hit for? And then he would do all the math, and you'd go, okay, cool. And you just minus it from your hit points, which was way better. Everybody had that friend at the table that was the math nerd. that-
Hold on. Let's look at your longhand division here.
Yes.
You forgot to carry the 3 here.
I'm telling you,
That
it was
not a
it was
hit.
pretty hefty. And so back then, a lot of that stuff was done. In fact, we've got a local guy that took a system like that and redid it to where it isn't so crunchy, I guess is the word I'm looking for. You don't have to, and it did a really good job with creating a battle system that flows really nice. And we've got him in the other room in there called Mystic Realms, I think is the name of it. It's really good. He's in Battle Creek. It's great, dude. But he created a whole book around it. It didn't have a whole lot of success because, again, it's hard to create something and make it very popular nowadays. But it took me kind of back to when I was younger. It's like, man, I would have really wish I'd have had something like this that was easy to pull off. But war games and RPGs were very close together at that time. Like, I mean, you had to do statistical math to do wargaming at that time. So, and I wasn't a huge wargamer fan, but and I kept away from those, and I was like, show me Monopoly, right? No, I wasn't.
And don't,
anyway.
of course, forget to check out our Adepticon coverage coming to you soon in March.
Oh, yeah, there you go. But that was definitely a different, and when I say war games, I mean board game wargaming, which is a lot different than war game tabletop wargaming. And I'd never played tabletop wargaming at that level, so I can't even comment. It's a Brandon comment, where that started from and how in-depth that has been. But I mean, I remember going to spots when I was younger, and now they've got rulers and stuff, but I remember them pulling out the big, the class rulers and being like, you're within range, or you're, that type of thing. I remember that. Or like pushing it, like
See, my dad
you'd
would
see
have
in the old schools.
PTSD of that ruler coming out because when he was young, that ruler came out, it was cracking your knuckles.
Yeah, see, it wasn't.
So it was in the 50s.
But again, I'm showing my age here. So games like, I've got it over there, like Air War, Federation Empire, those types of games that you would, Third Reich, Flight Leaders, those are all games that were really big when I was a kid, for if you were into that, right? Like if you were into that kind of heavy duty board gaming. Now they're so much easier to pick up and learn. The rules are not 70 pages long. Well,
it's an old game if it has Milton
I
Bradley
think
or
that's why
Parker
I
Brothers
like a
in
lot
it.
of the games I like. It's coming together. Now.
Wow.
This is a therapy. Should I lay down? This is a therapy session. I don't know if I should lay down and. Is this what this is?
What do you see?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Look at this
Is
ink
it a
blot.
butterfly
Yes.
or a vase?
This is definitely this is all coming together now.
Wow.
I'm glad we had this conversation.
Yeah.
We just solved my problem with loving heavier, thicker games.
You're not feeling well today, so your guard is
That's
down
it.
a little
It
bit. Your
is.
heart is
It
a
is
little
starting
more
to-
open.
It is a little more open here today.
Because it's got to get the blood through because it's really clogged right now with all the gobbledygooks.
Wait, what? With the
I don't know. He's tried to seem very scientifically advanced. And
Just
The
facts.
pneumonia must have gotten to him.
No,
Yes. That's what it
I read
is.
that at the Mayo Clinic. So
fair.
WebMD.
Which
Yeah,
I
the
thought when I
Hellman's
was.
Mayo Clinic.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what. Yeah.
I read it on the back of the Hellman's jar. Is what happened. I was
Right.
making me a sandwich, and I was like, "What's this?"
Well, what's funny is when I look at my collection, there's There's a couple games that are kind of on my Grail game list. One of them I actually got at a swap event here at Voss, which was Battlestar Galactica.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. Oh yeah.
You know, that was definitely
I think you
one
bought
of my
my
Grail.
extra copy.
Yep, I did.
And I almost didn't get rid of it because I wanted to keep it
Mm-hmm.
because it's one of those games that is just hard to find and they won't reprint.
Yep.
But it's also what's in my top 5 of all time because that experience, and mainly because of the experience I had with the game, not because of how amazing, even though it is to me, great game.
But it was also really amazing for the time, though. That's what
that's
you
what
gotta
kind of that's what I'm saying.
compartmentalize
It has to be when people go, "What's your top 5?" Well, it's in my top 5 because of the experience I had with it. Was amazing with friends, and I always wanted to play. Every time we got together, we were like, "Let's play it." We're all Battlestar Galactica fans, space fans, and when they redone it and did the Unfathomable, it just didn't touch the same.
Right.
Even though it had similar mechanics, it just wasn't.
The theme makes a big difference when you're talking about humans or Cylons, and if that's a theme you really liked.
I did.
But what I find interesting is it's kind of the same thing I've noticed with like sports card collecting. And it really kind of bothers me, which is you see so often in like sports cards today where you'll have a rookie who has never even played in the minor leagues. And they'll have cards out now that sell for $8,000, $10,000, $15,000. And then you'll have some of the greatest players of all time. Like you'll have a Barry Sanders rookie that is $50.
What?
Because for whatever reason, the way that they're doing things and people value today more than anything else, and they're investing in who's going to perform in the future versus a lot of the superstars of the past. And I feel like board games is a little bit like that too now with Kickstarters, because as they are coming out, if they even sniff a hint of any sort of success, the resale market, like Voidfall, let's use that as a great example, the Galactic box of that. If you bought that on Kickstarter, I think it was for the Galactic box like $180 all in. And now you can't get it for less than $450 to $500. And it's just like, and so again, we're overvaluing things now. But my Grail game that I'd say that I really want to get that I haven't gotten, and this is kind of a tacky one, but back to something that just you were passionate about. I was a day one vanilla WoW player. And that came out while I was in college.
What is it?
World of Warcraft.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it was a game that I was really
I think you
connected
said wild,
with.
not wow. My bad.
You know, when I went through some life events, I kind of poured a lot of time and used it as an escape mechanism. And at the end of the day, that game, all its trials and tribulations will always have a special place to me. And they actually created a board game of it that is out of print, of course. And I mean, I think the vanilla copy of it is like $400 now, something to that effect. And then the Burning Crusade expansion is like $500-$600.
Wow.
So, because it just wasn't heavily printed and it's a big IP. So, those are still kind of on my Grail games, just more of a collect. I don't care so much about the game. It's more of just having a piece of history of something that you feel connected with. I just can't justify.
And that's where Kickstarter gets me, I think, is when they do something that kind of touches my nostalgic. Like where
Restoration
I'm like,
games?
Like, yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah.
They touch something like they bring out, even Simon just recently did it, and I don't like those guys at all. But they came out with the Masters of the Universe, and I was like, I'm all in, boom, you know, because it touched my 80s kid that I, not that way,
Kid
Brandon.
show.
Not
Kid show.
Not in that way, Brandon. Sorry. But it felt nostalgic.
See, it's funny because I'm hearing all y'all like Holy Grail games, and like they're great games. Mine's is Wheel of Fortune. Like, because that's the game I played. I played
Was
a lot
that
of.
the one with the plastic blue board?
Yeah,
and
you
you
had to flip
slide it
down?
in.
Yeah.
You flick the thing and spin.
I had that one time. I don't remember what I did with that.
I love that game.
I played so much because I love game. Like I love game shows. So I played it. I had Let's Make a Deal. I had $100,000 pyramid. I had a whole bunch of, and I think I had a Price is Right game.
Oh, that was so good because I had like 6 games in it.
Yeah.
6 or 7 games in it.
So I like those are
That was
my
like
Grail
90s,
games
like
because those
mid-90s,
are
late 90s.
Because I was just they mean a lot to me. So
And why don't they make a comeback? That's another good thing. Like, why are they not
This is what I'm saying. They need to make out because they have one that's the Plinko board. Like it's like a legit Plinko board you can buy, but it's not like the game, and it's so easy. Like I used
It seems
to
like those would make some sort of a comeback.
And that's
because
why-
Wheel of Fortune's been around forever.
Well,
Everybody knows Wheel
Arcade
of Fortune.
1-Up did a Wheel of Fortune.
Did they?
Mhm.
Okay.
1-Up recently was like a slash casino game one.
Yeah,
But
but it wasn't like the same.
it's
Like,
different.
and like that's why there's a game by Exploding Kittens called Without Fail, and it gives me the feel of a game show because of how it is, and I seek that because I don't want the DVD.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need that text out. Let me spin. There's so many copies of the game of life. There's
Yeah.
no reason that
Yeah.
you can't make a Wheel of
Yeah.
Fortune game that you could.
Well, I'll
Anyway.
put this out there to our viewers if they can help me track this one down. When I was a kid, I used to play with my grandpa all the time, and my grandpa was very special to me. And there was this board game that was about dirt bikes, or I think it was like dirt BMX bikes, and they were plastic pieces, and basically the board had like rectangular boxes, and then it would like narrow and things like that through the whole map, and like the board itself at the time was kind of annoying because it was one of those that had like 8 or 9 divides. And I've looked for this game forever, and it would have been probably the 80s or 70s is my guess of when it would have come out. But that is one game like I would buy tomorrow if I could find it, just to have it, because it meant so much to me playing with my grandpa. And kind of the same thing for you, Shave, of Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah,
so.
no, I get it because, like, yeah, that's really what it's my grandma, and we always watched Wheel of Fortune. We always watched The Price is Right, and so when
Yeah.
they had the games, I was there. And then there's a lot of, like I said, I was a game show board gamer.
Is it Raleigh Burner BMX, the blue box?
I would have to see it, because the thing is, I found other BMX games, because BMX was
wasn't
pretty
it?
popular in the
Yeah,
80s,
yeah,
like
yeah.
especially Rad. Remember the movie Rad?
Okay, yeah. I don't
was so
remember
good.
Rad, but I'm gonna say okay.
It was rad at the time.
Okay, was
I'll
it?
tell you that.
Okay.
But there were numerous BMX games, but I've never found the one that was this, and it's one that I wouldn't know the name, but I would know
If
the
you've seen it
minute
on
I
the
saw
table,
it.
yeah.
Like little brown jumps, and there's like a red guy on a bike, and a green guy on a bike, and a yellow guy on the
Could be.
bike.
We may have to look at this afterwards,
Okay.
and I might give you a hug if you found it. So let's move on to our last industry topic for the week. We're going to talk about one of our favorite events of the year, Gen Con, everybody.
Hey-o.
So by the time this video is going to be going out, tickets will have and badges will have just gone out a couple days prior. Saturday, February 11th, they will become available to the public. So I thought with the anniversary of Badge Day, if you will, I'm titling it that. So if anybody else starts using it out there, that was me. So Badge Day it is. And with that said, I thought this could be a good time for those people out there who have never been. Maybe some things to share, some tips for first timers to start thinking about. Because yes, it's February, but Gen Con's no joke.
I got you.
Comes up on you fast.
Oh, okay. Here we go. The one biggest tip: get comfortable shoes. Because you're gonna be on your feet for so long walking around. You need to get some insoles. Like you feet wear is important. And
Invest in
cannot-
Dr. Scholl's.
Get some Dr. Souls, because it's gonna hurt if you're not used to it. Second thing is find the quiet room, because if you've never been to Gen Con, you never been to 100 million people, it's not that many, but it feels like it. You might get overwhelmed. Like, so they have a quiet room. Go ahead and check that out. It's a vibe. But those are my top 2 that popped in my head, because if I would have known. But that's me.
I will one up you, Shay, and this will blow your mind. So this is from the miniature wargamer's perspective. At Adepticon, you're playing at the tables all the time, so you're on your feet. 2 of those little kid play pads that are like 2 foot by 2 foot that snap to each other. Punch a hole in them, clip them to your backpack. Whenever you're standing in line, stand on those bitches. Boom. You are on clouds the entire, and then when you move up in line, just boop, stand on you're on pillows.
Or you get yourself some hookahs which
They don't.
are
They don't sponsor us.
well, they should.
They don't. They don't.
Well, either way, these are like walking on clouds.
Ladies and gentlemen,
what I'm saying
Voss
is
Media Board Game Cafe and Champions of Tabletop do not sponsor nor push hookahs on this
I do.
channel until they pay
It's like
us.
walking on clouds.
the point is good footwear. That is foot safety because you're gonna need it.
Well, I think last year was the first year that I went, so that was my first foray, and
That was probably the worst because it was so big.
it was the busiest one. I think they had over 75,000 people that were there.
Broke records.
But I also think it was a
Higher
great,
than that, right? Yeah.
It wasn't any more than no, it wasn't.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
yes.
Look up the
Look it up.
Look it up.
today.
I
It was-
promise
Brandon-
you, look it up.
I had like literally
Giggle
that.
that.
Promise you, look it up.
Somebody Google it because I swear
And Bing
I
it
felt.
and duck go it.
I felt
Which none of those are supporting. No, I'm just kidding.
But I would say as somebody who's been once,
Yeah.
and this year, of course, we're hoping to have.
170
So I was still
people.
closer without going over. So I win Price is Right rules. But I would say to people as badge day arrives, it is important, one, to make sure if there's any event that you want to do, you've got to be on the ball right away.
You got to do it
because-
like as soon as they
Badge
release
day.
it. Yeah, badge
Badge
day.
day.
You can't wait.
Because that was something I learned the hard way was
Yeah.
games like Dante. I have been following Dante's Kickstarter for a couple years now because the theme of it sounds awesome. I forget Drugnar is what's Drugars. I forget the group. They've made I forget the name of the game.
You fall into this hole.
Yeah. Well, Drungars. I don't know. Brandon hopefully can look it up. I know he won't, but they've got this beautiful new campaign game coming out, and I met the guys, talked to them for a while, and it was sitting there, and I asked for a chance to play it, and they said, "Oh, well, you don't have the ability to because you didn't sign up."
Ouch.
And it's just like, but it's sitting right there. Can't I demo it? And it's like, no, you've got to sign up for the demo. And that really stunk to me because it's like, here's a game I've literally been waiting for years sitting in front of me, and I don't get to play it, even though nobody's sitting there. So if I could advise anything, look immediately, start scouting, and figure out and sign up for events. Even if you don't end up being able to go to them, have those spots because you're going to come across some things that you so desperately want to try, and you're going to be locked out.
And that's a whole other day because there's badge day and then there is like event day where they post all the events. And then I think after a week, they actually let you pick it. And so you got to get like I had when I went to main events. That's another tip. Look, yes, you will get overwhelmed if you put too many events down.
I think there's almost a whole show because there's so much.
There's so much. And that's even with the tickets. There's other shows that are not ticketed that you just walk into.
The playtest second scale convention area, they're always open. You don't even need tickets. You just walk down there, and it's just room after room after room of people that are ecstatic about their games, and they're not big enough to make it into the main convention hall, and they would love to have you play and teach their game to you. That's a great hall to go to too, and not many people know about it.
Well, and that's actually where I met the guy who invented Isophere Guard, which has like a 9.0 plus on Board Game Geek, and Madara. I met the guy who invented Madara, which was my game of the week last week. And they'll give you time. Like both those guys each gave me 15 minutes plus, and I was just one person amongst a throng of people. So, but I would say the other thing aside from the badge, which I don't think it's as important to worry about getting your badge, just to be frank here, because I went the day before and walked in and got my badge. I just didn't get to do any events because I
Because I
didn't
don't
know.
think they limit them.
No, they don't. Oh, they certainly
They
do not.
did not wonder.
But the other advice I would say is for the badges, get them mailed to you. I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah.
As I stood in line Wednesday night for 2.5 hours
Yeah.
to get a friggin' badge.
Or get there early. Because if you do a Wednesday morning or Wednesday like midnight.
Well, if
'cause
I
that's
go,
where
I'm
I
going to
get
go
it.
to the trade show thing to where retailers can go to. If I go, that's what I'm going to do. That way, so I can have some one-on-one time with a lot of the developers and the publishers because I don't.
It's hard to get that with.
I don't want to be around that many people. I'm just not uncomfortable, and I get other people's time. They feel like is worth more than my time, and I get very frustrated and very angry. I went before COVID I didn't get to go this past year because business. And the previous year they had like a real dumbed down one, so I didn't go to that one either because it just business again, trying to build my business. I would love to go. There's a bunch of people that now I'm friends with in the industry that do like Trick or Treat Studios and Jamie that I would love to meet there and shake their hand and appreciate the support that
And Donald
we've
Schultz
given
has
each
already
other.
promised us a great time.
Donald Schultz
so.
has got a really good. I don't know what hotel he's in.
I don't know about
but he has promised us a great time.
He's
so I would
keeping
love to
that
go do
quiet
that
for the
stuff.
feds.
But when I went, my favorite of the entire event was the auction. That was my favorite. I sat in there for a full day just going, yeah, I'll take one of those. Yep, I
What
like
was the
that.
auction?
Yep. Of everything, all the games, everybody that shows up to the event, give their games to auction off for charity. And everybody, you can bring a pile, like I could bring my games there and sell them in this auction so you can get some secondhand. You can find that hard to find, never before seen Price is Right or whatever, and you see them up there. I was going crazy. I was like, yeah, bid it. Yeah, but I went home with piles and piles of games.
I went home with piles and piles of games, which is my next thing is minimize your credit limit. Because I was with a group of guys who recognized the first time idiot here. And I mean, there was one point where I think I had 3 guys helping me carry everything. Because you guys know I don't buy small boxes.
No, you don't.
I mean, I don't even want to think of how much money I spent that first day because it was just like I want that. I just didn't I was buying dice.
Yeah.
I don't even know where those dice are. But it was just like the glow in the dark. I gotta have them. It's like why? Why do I have to have them?
Because they're
FOMO is why.
Yeah, that's another thing. A great bag. Like, don't give you need something that is like sturdy that'll help you with back support. Like I have to this day I have this purple bag by Game On, and it is wonderful because now it's old, so it kind of some stuff broke, but it had a little latch in front so it can have better back support. You can fit everything in it because you're going to be walking around and it's going to be annoying to keep holding things in your hand.
I think what we should do, because we're going to go to a few events this year.
Yeah.
So I think before we should probably wrap, because this could go for a very long time.
Oh, it could.
Yeah. So I think before, other key things is probably parking pass that you mentioned. I think is huge.
Yeah.
Go get that right away because it's hard
Gotta
to
get
park.
it now because they're already running
hotel.
out.
You got to book way ahead of time.
Sign up for hotel immediately. But there are a
somewhere
lot
as
of good
close as you can.
Airbnbs.
There
that
is.
you can get.
Airbnb
hotels
or
by the
hotels.
airport you can get.
Things that you want to sign up and go. If you're traveling, of course, like plane, keep that in mind on what you purchase because you got to bring it home with you, obviously. So, I mean, those are, I think, the basic Con 101 type of stuff, no matter if you're going to Gen Con or any convention.
Food. I mean,
food. Yes, food's a good one.
Food
Too.
is available if you wait long enough for it. At Gen Con, I'm an exhibitor there, so we got an hour break, and I spent an hour and a half waiting in line for food trucks.
Yeah.
I got to tell you this right now. I skipped the food trucks. There's a hotel. Gosh, it's going to drive me nuts. There's a hotel right across the street from the convention center that I want to say it was like Hyatt or something. And they have a restaurant in there.
Don't let them know. No, because the more people that know, you'll never.
Nobody wants
ruin
this
it
anyways.
again.
Yeah, all 18 of the people that watch our
come
show
hang out with me.
come hang out at that.
Yeah.
No.
But
But
I'll tell you what, I got a Philly cheesesteak there, and I'm not a big Philly cheesesteak guy. It was some of the absolute best food I've ever had in my entire life. And I took a guy over there who helped me carry literally probably 40 pounds of board games to my car, which was, of course, like a mile and a half down the road at a parking spot. He carried us like, dude, I got you for lunch. He's like, oh, you know how to do it. I was like, no. You're manual labor. I'm buying you lunch. So I bought him. I think he got like a big burger. I mean, it was just a massive burger. And I'm like, why are people standing in the line for the food truck, man? It's
because
right here. This is the
convenience.
spot.
That's why.
Well, they think it's convenient, but like you
unaware.
said, it's an hour
But
and a
it's
half.
not convenient.
If you walk past those food trucks and down that aisle, they're down that little street.
Oh, yeah.
They've got some really good spots
Or
to
just
eat
go to
down
the
in there.
concession stand
So,
at Lucas Oil Stadium. Keep it simple.
yeah, well, that too. But I mean, you're right though. And that's the problem I have. I want to go really, really bad. But I also don't want to deal with that, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like the waiting in line for hours upon hours. It's just not.
And
I'm not a roller coaster guy because I don't want to wait in line for 2 hours to be like woo for 10 minutes. Just doesn't excite me that. Well, not even 10 minutes, like a minute.
And
right?
I feel like almost like you want to spend some time outside of the convention
I agree.
to just play games. Because you got so many different things that are happening. You'll buy so many things and you will spend all your time going to the exhibits and going to the different events and the artist booths, and we're there to game. And I think that's one thing. If you lose that, it's not fun.
Drink a lot of orange
the
juice.
pinball alley, the pinball alley that they had at this one. I'm a big pinball guy. That was awesome.
Yeah. So,
but hopefully, Champions of Tabletop, we will have media badges.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, we will have media badges. It's already been confirmed for Origins.
Whoop, whoop.
So
Yeah, we
we
have to get
will be at
those.
Origins representing Champions of Tabletop. So if you see us there, stop by, say hello. And,
Well, at any time, reach out. Before we go, we're going to do a show, obviously.
Yeah.
So we'll announce it at that time. But we would love to meet any of our 13 fans.
And we'll do a little meetup with the people who like our show. So
yeah.
with that, we're gonna go ahead and Brandon, this is my camera, right? My camera right here. This is my camera. I think it
got
is.
you. This is my air guitar.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
Tune in.
event of the season. We are going to march madly towards the pit. There you go. So with that, we've got a hot one. We got a thick boy to unpack tonight, everybody in the pit. We're gonna
What? Wait, what?
Both of you are cut off.
thick boy.
Why?
No. All right,
have
we're gonna
the
move on.
best
So
guitar.
tonight's topic
Solo.
that we're gonna talk about is a really valuable one for a lot of ways because it can be a really costly one, and I think it's a great conversation to have because this is something I'm currently talking to my wife about for my home, and that is this week's question: how important is it to have a board game table, and how big is too big?
I got you.
That's what
got
she
you.
said.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this because I'm actually going to build my table, and I was thinking of what kind of table I really want. So you want a table at least 3x5. 3x5 is the golden spot. But
That's what this is.
yeah,
a 3
but
by 5.
for this, I want the depth to be 2 D20s down. So about an inch, so like 2 inches. And then you want the neoprene.
The
You
problem
know,
is
they make dice in different sizes, right?
Yeah,
So
okay.
like
But the-
two
but-
D20s down doesn't really mean anything.
No, it's about. I said an inch. I said 2 D20s about an inch.
okay,
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah,
2
you're
inches
right.
down.
You're right. You're good.
And then neoprene, and so that's what you want. That's the golden. That's why I'm thinking.
the problem with that, and I'm going to just kind of give it a heads up for people for home.
Well, first of
When
all,
I
do
built-
you support board game tables? Is it a must for the hobbyist?
It's a must for my store. Like, I don't do what most stores do, right? Walk into any game store,
Yeah.
you're going to get a card table
Right.
that was like, 3x6, I think is most card tables, right?
Because that's the question of the pit is are
Right?
board
Like,
game tables
have you
important
seen-
to have?
Have you
It's
seen
not
any
how big.
hobby shop
But-
that actually puts board games in there?
No, you're right. But also, it's infuriating that you guys think 3 feet is enough. For,
No, I agree. I'm 100% on board with
I
you.
know.
this is like this. I mean, except
no,
for
it's- name a miniature war game that's played on a 3-foot table.
No,
There
4
are
foot
0
minimum.
of them. 4-foot minimum.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But
And our idea is for the
Yeah,
tables
say-
we're going to make are 4 foot by 4 foot, and you could put them together by removing a couple pieces and slide in a couple more to make it 4 by 8 or 8 by 8, which creates this kind of like, because for war gamers in mind, but also most board gamers in mind. That one over there is 5 by 5, right? I think is what that one is. And that is nice. And it fits majority of the table, but the problem is it's a 4-seater. It's not a 6-seater. So when you get a 6-seater, you usually get one longer than the other.
Let's start with the first question.
Okay.
Is it important to have a board game table?
Highly recommend it. If you're an
Yes.
avid board gamer.
if you're avid board gamer, I
Yes.
agree.
Highly recommend. And not only that, but for home use, that's why this is so deep as it is. When I was building this one, I didn't build it by hand, but when I was commissioning someone to build this for me, because these are our tables from Voss Media Board Game Cafe. You can pick one up. Anyway, when we were building this, we wanted a deep pocket to show that you could keep a game played and put a top on, because a top goes over this, and you could keep the game underneath it, pop the game back, pop it off, and then continue playing. Right, so that was very important because things happen in life. Kids are up, whatever it may be. Let's cover it up. Let's come back to it in a couple days, especially if you're playing something like Gloomhaven. Oh my gosh,
Right.
like you don't want to pull that out every single time to get to the next. Just put it out, play it. remove the pieces you need, keep playing it, put the top on when you're done with it, move on.
Yeah.
So if you're an avid gamer and you have you play games at your house often, I think I think there's a gap in the market now of reasonably cost versus
Wormwood.
Well, I mean, Wormwood's
it's not
great.
even just
I would love
Wormwood.
that. Don't get me wrong, Wormwood's amazing.
No, I'm just saying in terms of cost.
Yeah,
You're
but I mean,
saying
like-
affordable versus
like
There's
'cause
like
you
if,
can get
if you have all the money in the world, yeah, go buy Wormwood. Like they're amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like they're absolutely.
but you're
roll
starting
your
at 10K.
table up.
You're
roll
starting
your
at
table-
10K at this point.
I mean,
Right.
right? So I mean, you're
and
crazy.
Like, board
Yeah,
game table is about 500 if you get about five. With that board game table is about five. Like the base is about 500 without all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, but like
Okay, I bought one for 14, and it's a total piece of crap.
And
I got it
maybe
near the
I'm
room
off.
in there.
Maybe I'm off.
You're off.
I'm probably off. Yes.
Yeah.
You're way off.
Like
But,
game
like-
theory games, game theory tables, you're gonna start at about 2,000.
Uh huh.
Yeah, but like I spend more time at my house over my life at my wargaming table than I do in my car.
Yeah.
And I've spent thousands of dollars on my car.
Yes.
I can't spend.
Right.
I mean, I get people don't have it. I'm not saying, oh, you know,
Right.
oh, you
Yeah,
poor
yeah,
shouldn't
yeah,
play board
yeah.
games.
Well, not everybody
But,
makes the
like,
money you make, so you're in a different tax bracket. So to pay $2,000 or $2,500 for a table, I took a shot. Bam. Anyway, I know tax season just happened for Brandon. For those who don't know, and take a nice shot. Anyway, $2,500 is pretty reasonable for a table in today's age.
I mean,
for a
yeah.
decent table, like this one right here, we sell for $2,000, $500 if you want the top, and that's It's this oak. It's not you can my big butt can set on top of it. It's not going to break it. There's a couple spots on the ends to plug in your phones or to plug in a tablet. It's not the best table. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of if I was to redo this one, I would change a lot about it. I don't like these. This is horrible. I'd make it one big one, or I wouldn't do one at all. I would shrink this a little bit. This is way too big. But then you have to be careful of what cup holders you can put. I wouldn't put as deep as a pocket on this one because for everyday play, this is annoying. This is for a household that can a craps table. Yeah, this is for a household. This deep of a pocket is for a household that is like wants to put a top on, come back tomorrow, play it again. Wants down the road a week, keep it all set up. That's what this deep of a pocket is.
I would
for.
say I think we have a census here for the first time in the history of Champions Tabletop. We have a census because I agree. I think I've got a Game Topper, which is one of the mobile ones
Yeah, I like
that I
those
have
too.
at home.
Those are good. Those are
And
good, like quick fix.
It
Yeah,
is. But it sits on a plastic table.
Yeah.
It's not sturdy and stable, but it's been a great tool I got because whether we were playing at my house or my dad's house for our game group, it was like, hey, cool, I can throw this in the car and take it down. And now we got a game table at his house too. Although it is a nightmare to
I can
to
imagine.
it's so heavy. I mean, it's easy to set up. It's just so heavy to carry. But what I will say is that it fits that need perfect. Or for somebody who doesn't want to have a dedicated play space and has a closet that says, hey, I want to make this disappear. But then, game group's coming over on Friday. Here we go. It's a great solution. But I will say that I think if you love the hobby, a game table absolutely encourages play. It encourages you to just walk past the board and make moves. It encourages you to just idly see it, and you're more inclined to play. When you have a dedicated space, you can leave bigger games out for longer, which is the biggest problem of getting big box games to the table is having to put them all away. Now you don't have to, especially with a topper where you can just make it disappear. Now you have two games. I love dividers that can separate a table so you can have two games set up at once too. But to me, I think in terms of size, so one, I think 100%, if you're into the hobby, I think it's a must-have. I think it makes a better experience. I think it makes it more enjoyable. I'm really eyeballing the Game Theory tables, one that has the LEDs, lights in it and stuff.
Yeah, you could put LEDs in any table.
But
the problem I have with game theory tables is their cost for what you're getting.
yeah, well, either way. So then I think the next thing is size. I think 4x6 to me is kind of my ideal size because then you get the 4 foot for the tabletop miniature games, the free blades, the Warhammers, all that kind of stuff. But then you're getting that 6 foot. So to me, it doesn't take up too much floor space, but you're still able to easily get 6 people around the table.
Well, and keep in mind the 4x6 isn't the size of the table either. It's the size of the play area.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, here we added a good chunk extra
Right.
at the sides, which
Yeah.
this is modeled very similar to the game theory tables that are out.
And last thing I'll say is, and I agree with you, because the one thing I wish I could get a Wormwood for is I love the crank that they
absolutely.
have that raises and
What
lowers
was that one
it.
that he had on his show, the Watch It Played guy,
Yeah, Rodney.
Oh, Rodney.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got like a. They gave it to him for free. By the way, hit us up. And you could hit the button and it goes up
It
and
raises
down.
and lowers.
oh, like
Yeah,
that
it's
would
all
be
motorized.
Oh, perfect.
Oh.
It was a little loud, but he even said,
Yeah.
"Hey, it's a little loud." It had nice
It's like
little
the John Henry or something
Yeah,
like that.
something like that.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it's
like
very
the
really
official
Edison
name.
or like the
Yeah.
something. It was
Yeah.
something
but it
like
wasn't from Game Theory tables.
But his big critique was the space underneath, which I think is a problem with some of these tables, is especially for tall people.
Yeah.
Rodney complained about that. His legs would hit the bottom of the table
Mm-hmm.
when it was down. And as somebody like myself, I noticed when I was looking at Game Theory's website, they did have risers now to help raise the table up a little bit higher off the ground.
Well, I mean, and the problem is with these is that you got to think of moving. Like if you're leaving or you're putting in a different room, this you turn sideways, it fits through any doorway, which is very important because if you're putting it in a different room or you got to move it to the basement because wife says, this shit's got to go downstairs, you know, that kind of thing as well. You're going to have to be able to flip and move it down the stairs. And you can't really do that. I could tell you this, a lot of the tables, because I have a few of them here that are, $1,200 to $1,500 and you put it together, they ship it to you, so you got to pay shipping on top of it, are not everyday game tables or not even once a month game tables. They're once every 3 months. So you really got to look at when you're going to play, how much you're going to play, when do you get together. And like Brandon says, you're at it, you know, his more than you are his car. So you have to really see what the investment of what you're doing.
Especially if you find like a war game where you're more inclined to put weight on the table as you're really getting in or
absolutely.
measuring.
Yeah.
Like
the-
you need more stability so that
Absolutely.
way it doesn't
Yeah.
start to loosen over time.
Yeah.
Like those things really make a difference.
Though I am excited about the game trays making their game table. I just want to see it because it.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's just because they're making tables and it's going to be made out of more plastic, but it's going to be a folding table. And so you can have a 3x5, and you can actually take it
I'm
to your
nervous.
closet
Well,
and go out.
And I'm a
and I
little
think
nervous
that-
with all these extra things you put on the sides and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Those are great, but it takes one person to do this.
But I
and
think
boom,
they're.
it's
I
done.
think what they're
That's
doing
fair.
is they're fitting that market of people who don't have a like. I mean, the game toppers are still going to be for a good sized table. You're still talking $1,200, $1,500, $2,000. So I think what Game Trays and some of those other brands have done is, they're not going to last you 10 years, but you
Right.
paid $500 for it. So if you get 5, 6, 7 years out of it, you kind of got your money's
game
worth.
trays-
It's kind of like the
game
same
tape.
with a couch, right? Like you
Yeah.
go out and you spend really top dollar on a couch because you spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
Or do you go buy the cheap one that you got to replace every 2 or 3 years?
Plus it matters about like stages of life. You go to an apartment and try to put this in here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think this would fit fine in an apartment because of the carry in and out because it fits through every doorway. But I also agree with what you're saying that you don't want a permanent something that's going to be your forever home and your permanent home.
Yeah.
Or in an
Yes.
apartment, you want to be able to
Yeah.
move it so you can have
Exactly.
like more people over.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just I like that they're now starting to have different brackets of different lifestyles of games. That's why I'm
Yeah.
very interested in that.
I
But
think
yeah,
there's a lot
something-
out there, and I still don't see. I haven't seen one yet. And please, if you watch this video and you say, "Oh yeah, it's," I've got
Leave in the
one. Here it
comments
is.
below.
Leave in the comments. I would love to read them,
Mhm.
but I haven't found one yet that clicks all the boxes for me.
Fair. Fair.
Even running like a store that I'd love to have nice tables at.
Yeah.
I have to have mine custom built if I want something. Like we're gonna do 4x4 tables moving forward.
Well,
but I still running a 6-player game is gonna be kind of a you
My-
gotta
my
put
problem
two
is
of them
ta-
together, right? I mean,
the tables I've seen that really get me excited, again, 12, 15, $20,000.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like I
Yeah.
just I don't love the hobby that much. And
oh, well, you go to YouTube and they've got go to YouTube and they've got like these massive like dividers and like this is amazing D&D, and then they had the one that's a touch screen in the middle.
well, the
and-
Game Theory's new arena table does have a full. It's a proprietary screen that they built. It's gonna operate off of Linux, I believe. So it's gonna be open source, and so a lot of developers are making stuff for it, including I think it's Infinity. That's the biggest D&D online site there is. I could be wrong on the name of it, but I thought it was Infinity. But it's actually a really neat thing because your pieces will be on the board, and somebody else can be playing remotely, and so it will actually connect the boards. So you'll see movement on your board for what they're doing. It'll show on both screens. So there's some really neat things
and
coming.
there's a side point to that too. If I'm a D&D streamer and everybody's elsewhere when I'm playing, that would be a
that's
perfect
huge.
that'd be a perfect investment. But that's an investment at that point.
But and the problem is
But
like
for the everyday
previews
home,
I've seen
nobody
it,
wants that, right?
The things I've seen are like they have the dice trays off to the side, and for me, I'm not a big D&D guy, so to me, like I want to set my board up, and it's like now all of a sudden I'm nervous, like. Don't touch the board because I don't want you to break the screen. You know, like to me, it's like that's a D&D board.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So,
But tables are needed.
yeah.
I would say if you're a heavy gamer, I absolutely push forward to tables. I mean, that's why we
Brandon,
have nice tables.
Anything you want to add?
I was just gonna have an ulcer as a war gamer hearing the words folding table
Yes.
because
Oh,
I
God.
still remember it is burned into my memory. I have nightmares. Adepticon 40K Championship top table 2018 collapsed during the game, and they had multiple
Wow.
judges trying to figure out how do we reinstate this game. All the models went everywhere. We had people arguing, oh no, because that game comes down to inches. You have people playing at the top level
Yeah.
on both sides of the
Yeah.
table. Like, no, this guy was half an inch further away than this guy because the whole table it was a folding table, collapsed in the middle, everything rushed to the center, all the trains everywhere.
Well, and
Like
that's it
Berkey
too.
over
I
at
mean,
Game Topper should be like, hey, you need my
Well,
stuff.
Well, this is one for Brandon as well. If you're a war gamer, you're looking at a different table than a board gamer, I think.
Fair.
Can
fair.
you use them for both? Probably, but I don't want a wargaming table for my house because I'm not a wargamer. I hardly ever get wargamers at the table. When I do, I just need a 4x4 spot. We can figure that out.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I feel like the times I've seen wargaming tables, you're talking about thick, 2x4s or even 4x4 boards that have stern like pillars.
Well,
and then a lot of cross barriers to make that thing as tight as possible with just a slight little barrier around the outside of the board.
Yeah. Well, and there's some
Playing surface.
stores that do wargaming tables, and I've seen those. Like you walk in, that's a wargame. It sets up higher, so you can reach over it, and you could tell that's a wargaming
Easier
table.
to kind of see line of sight.
Yeah,
and
easy to see
stuff,
line of
so.
sight. So I mean, that's a different. I think I agree with this conversation, but it's a different. If you're asking me what board game table size for board games,
Yeah.
I think I would have to go if I had to pick a size.
Yeah.
Probably 4x6 is pretty. 5x6 maybe. I don't really want to. I like a square.
Yeah.
Problem is 4 players versus a 6-player mark, right?
Yeah. All right. So
But
let
these
us know what you
games
think.
are table like eaters lately. Like this.
Oh.
I'm simple. Like a simple card game that's my game of the week.
Oh.
It eats the table.
Mine
Like
too.
it is gone.
Mine too.
Even at a 3x5, it eats it.
Yeah. Voidfall tried to pull it. Man. Forget
We
about
played 5 players on the 4-player set,
Yeah.
and there was no space
it. Yeah.
on a simple card game.
So with that, let's go ahead and move on to our game of the week. Shay, you go ahead and share first.
Sweet. So my game of the week.
Right down here.
Oh, sweet. I don't have to move.
Get that glue out.
Coffee Rush. That is my game of the week. Listen, I did not think it's a simple game. It's a simple game. You're trying to fill orders. And you have this nice little board that has all the ingredients, and it comes with this nice little cups that see through. You actually put your different ingredients in the cup. It's nice and it's gentle, and that's the last time it's going to be like that. Because when you play the game, you are rushed out because as soon as you fill the order, that means everybody else has to get another order, and then when they get another order, you're going to have another order. Like I had 6 orders I got to fill, and I only had like 3 moves on the table, and you got to really try to math it out like really badly. Not really badly. Hopefully not badly, because if you do it badly, you're not going to win. But if you do it right, it can work. Like the stress that this little game gave me. I was done because somebody brought this into the shop, and then I had to run a new game. My brain was kind of melted a little bit. Like so yes.
Is it like a cooking mama, or like a overcooked?
Yeah,
but
have you
of
ever
board
played
games?
the app like Diner Dash on your phone?
Yeah, that's
or,
what it's kind of like.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
It gives you the best, and I'm going to co-sign only because him and I both played this game, and I thought, man, I regretted setting down, and then by the mid of the game, I was like, oh, okay, all right, because it did what I wanted it to do, which is completely Everybody else's turn did not bother me. I'm trying to figure out before it's like as soon as I'm done with my turn, I'm trying to figure out what I got to do on my turn. And then they're going add more things. And I'm like, no. I'm trying to figure out what I got to do with mine. Don't make me add more. Don't fill yours.
More orders and more.
And it pushes, and then you're like, oh crap, and then you're making these customers mad, and you're getting these little tokens that help you get to move spots more. So that's kind of like a catch-up mechanism going on. I really enjoyed the game for as simplistic. It made me feel like I was playing the app, but with a bunch of friends, because we're kind of hurting each other while we're all laughing and going, "You messed that up." And it's kind of one of those games that I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't think I would. If you would bring this to me and go, Dion, let's play this game, I would have been like, oh, come on, man. Because that's exactly what I did. I sold it to a customer, and it never, and this is the sad part, is one of those that just kind of flew under the radar. Done by Korea Board Games, which I've never heard of. It was sitting on my shelf in there. Customer bought it, brought it back on a Thursday night and said, hey, before we do our unboxing, let's do this game. Played it, and I was like, holy crap, like there's some thought process to how this works, and enough to keep me in there,
Shay, what were we gonna say?
Oh, I'm saying the cream of the crop, the organization in this game.
Oh.
Let me, you understand from last episode how I feel about good organization. They had trays. They had trays with tops on it. They have little
that's a nice
cubby.
feature.
They have little cubbies that you
Oh,
put
pieces
every
alone.
little,
I mean-
and all the pieces in it. Like, okay, we got to show.
We're
it.
not gonna see it. No,
we're not gonna see
We'd
it.
have to have B-roll. We're not there yet.
Oh,
But,
okay. but it's just this. If you like.
All the pieces are in that little thing there. And in this thing here, little trays, right? You just pop out to play. These little bitty cups.
You put a little water
The
in them.
pieces
and-
are for the
Well,
price.
hold on. Pinky's out.
You gotta do
No,
it.
no.
You gotta
No,
do it.
pinkies out.
Sorry,
Where's
sorry,
your
sorry.
etiquette?
Sorry,
There you
sorry,
go.
there we go.
Goodness.
But yeah,
gracious.
it's packed perfect.
really good.
So yeah, Coffee Rush. It has to be my game of
Brandon,
the
what's
week.
your game of the week?
So it's been on my mind. It's a very old game, but a good game. Dominion.
Dominion.
Oh yeah. I agree with that one.
very good.
That's a positive.
Card, not battler, deck builder.
Yeah, the
card
first
One of the
like one of the
OGs,
OG
yeah.
deck builders
Yeah.
that did it right.
Yeah.
Do you have the Lazy Susan too?
Lazy Susan.
Have you not seen the Dominion Lazy Susan? It's on Etsy. Like, it's a must if you have that game. Deluxeification.
No, I'm just I'm cooking up something that may be coming down the road. And,
Ooh.
Dominion has been getting those brain juices flowing.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Dion?
I get to go?
Yeah.
Nice. So again, a game that I hadn't unboxed this Thursday that I was like, man, I guess. So I bought a copy of this game for the store, right? I bought a couple copies, put it on my shelf, sold very fast. I'm like, okay, whatever. Bought a couple more copies, put it on my shelf, sold very fast. I'm like, okay, what the hell is this game? Bought a demo. I was like, listen, send me a demo on the next shipment because this thing is flying off and people just seem like they're buying it because of the cutesy characters in it, whatever. Ends up being Forest Shuffle. I've got a place in my heart for unique games, right? This is a card game that you have to place trees. You're building your own forest, and you have creatures that have left and right sides that you can utilize, or top and bottom sides that you can utilize. And when you put down a tree in your forest, you slide the card up top, bottom, or side to side, and you get to activate that creature of whatever special ability he does. We've also got like abilities where if you pay for it using the same card types, but it's trying to manage the cards that are in your hand is a fun little element. Kind of a set collection engine builder. It plays in about, I would say, an hour.
Yeah.
I think it was about an hour and a half for us.
Matt, how many people got?
Yeah, we had 5, and I think we did an hour and a half,
Yeah.
hour 15, and that was teaching it. So,
Right.
it actually says 60 minutes on the box. I played with 2 earlier today, and it played just fine. It's one of those games that you're trying to maximize your points, and it plays back to my Euro mentality of I kind of doing what I'm doing here. And we have a little bit of interaction, which when you pay for a card, you put it in this clearing that other people can then draw from on their turn. And it's simple. You either draw cards, which draw 2 cards. You can be either from the clearing or from the side, or play a card from your hand. And when you play a card, you got to pay for it with cards in your hand. So it was unique enough that I haven't really seen a whole lot of games doing this. And it had this really cool sliding cards and deciding, ooh, I really want to play this side, but dang, I really want to play this side. Do I have a spot open to play that side? No, okay, I got to play another tree to get a spot. But I got to pay for a tree. So which one of these cards do I got to get rid of to pay for this tree? It created this conundrum internally that I really liked. I highly, highly recommend it from Lookout Games. Forest Shuffle. A lot of people compared it to Earth, which I didn't feel that at all, because it wasn't like a tableau. I guess you're kind of building a tableau, but it was a little different. It was like
this is like
felt like a forest.
This is approachable. Like if I pulled out Earth to my mother, I love her.
You think your mom would play that one okay?
I think my mom would play that one okay. Because it's like both of the game actually. It's simple in what it's doing. That's not too much. Because the only thing you're doing is just playing a little tree. Little tree. You want a little bat on your tree?
Happy little tree?
Put a little happy. Yeah, really.
Well, it's one of those games that I think is easy to enter into,
leaves.
but hard to master.
You
know, and if you're good at it, you're watching after everybody gets good at it at the table. When you pop it back out, you're now watching and going, they're going with the birds. I cannot put any birds on the table. So I cannot spin this card because as soon as I put it down, they're going to grab it. And now they're going to get more birds to increase their score. So when you get good enough, you start paying attention to what everybody else is doing. That creates the atmosphere.
That's a pit we should do sometime is best bird games. So my game of the week is going to be Earthborn Rangers by Earthborn Games. This, to put it simply, is going to be a campaign card-driven game. Think kind of like Arcane Horror. Think a little bit of Marvel Champions.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit of it in the respect of you pick one of the 4 faction heroes. There's going to be more coming. They've got a Kickstarter out right now for the next set of Rangers that you can pick from. Each Ranger is going to have some unique abilities right out of the box. You're going to use tools. What's really neat is as you go down the path, there's a lot of unique things that will adjust the circumstances that you have to navigate through, including things like the weather. Is it raining? A lot of those kind of things will impact what abilities that you can use, how they interact, and how you have to offset them as you're kind of battling through. You're going to come across different types of wildlife. You're going to come across different types of villains, if you will. But at the end of the day, it's a really interesting campaign. It comes with a map. They are coming out with minis. So if you want the minis, you can get those. You'll be proud of me, guys. I actually didn't get the minis. I did get the meeples though. But what's really kind of cool about it is as you're kind of going through, you'll kind of like Spire's Edge. I don't know if you guys ever played Spire's Edge. As you bring up certain cards, there will be numbers on them where you'll have to go to that part of the storybook and it'll kind of unfold a story as you're playing through it. And at the end of the day, as you kind of play through the map and the campaign, it's going to be more of that card battler, deck building type of game with a real strong campaign element. And like I said, what's neat is as you go through the campaign, you're going to advance your ranger with different abilities that you collect along the way. So it could have a lot of multiple playthroughs that will keep everything fresh, even though some of the story may be a little bit repetitive. I don't think it's as unique as like My Father's Work or something like that. That's kind of so many tailored off points that you can kind of walk through with it. But overall, played the first bit of the campaign and had a good time. I think it's one that has some good complexity for those who like that, but at the same time, I don't think it's so overly complex that it's hard for somebody in that medium strategy category to have a really good time with. So with that said, like I said, you can get Earthborn Rangers now. It's hard to get, so this is a tough one.
So it's not at your friendly local game store?
It's not at your friendly local game store. In fact,
I have never even heard of it.
To be frank with you, I think Team Covenant has an exclusive deal to sell this across America. So
they're doing so great because I've heard of it before. Never heard of it.
But I think they do have exclusive rights. It's really hard to get, but it's I think the Kickstarter now has like over $600,000-$700,000 backing.
Gotcha.
On the expansions. So
cool.
They're real proud of their environmental sustainability. Everything came in recycled paper, recycled this, recycled that. And that would probably be my one critique of the game is if you use card sleeves, it's not a big deal. But for somebody like me, I love those thick linen cards that have that little texture. And this definitely feels like definitely recyclable cardboard. The cards don't feel as high quality as I personally like. And
so you're saying kill more trees, screw the environment? I'm just kidding. I don't know. I can't
I like
argue this
linen,
one way or the other.
So it's more cotton based, but
I don't know.
no,
that's a different
I
subject.
just like that thicker quality, that like that small grain of that linen texture when I'm playing with cards, and this is more that very flat, smooth card that just kind of feels a little cheaper. So that would be my one critique of the game. And other than that, though, it's a really interesting mechanic and some really good medium complexity. So
I think quality of pieces is extremely important to me as well. So I agree with you on that. It kind of turns me down a lot of games.
well, it's a card game. So if the cards aren't high quality, then I guess again, if you put them in sleeves, it's not as big of a deal because you're not going to notice the difference. But
Team No Sleeves over here will not.
he's not doing it.
I'm not going to do it. And plus, that will defeat
It
the
sounds
purpose
intriguing
because
I love
Anyway.
Marvel Champions. I think that's an amazing game, so I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah, and like I said, it's that combination of Marvel Champions of the battle system where you're again it's a little give and take. Should I attack? Should I be a little more reserved with my turns? So it's kind of got that element similar to Marvel Champions, but then it has that Arkham horror of the campaign, and you're moving through a map and you're progressing a story that actually plays out based on the decisions you make and the people that you save, the people that you don't. So there's a little bit more of that campaign that you don't get with Marvel Champions.
Well,
that you get with
they have
Arkham
campaigns
horror.
that you can add into Marvel Champions, but yes, I agree with what you're saying. It sounds pretty good.
So with that, then we're going to move on to Feet to the Fire.
Hey-yo.
Brandon, you got the question this week.
Yeah, coming at you hot. If you can only play one game with one historical figure, living or dead, what game and what person would you play with?
Oh, wow.
I'm on fire.
This is easy. I got it.
Uh-huh.
Crokinole.
Does it have to be a board game or a toy? Because that matters.
Sorry, no toys.
Okay.
Cool. Crokinole. Keep going.
Crokinole. Crokinole. And I would play Crokinole with a guy known for wooden teeth, and that would be Mr. George Washington. Because I find him historically one of the most fascinating figures. I think his accomplishments speak for themselves. We wouldn't be here today. We'd be eating tea and crumpets if it wasn't for people like him. And I think it would be fascinating to hear his story because I look at that generation of people, the Founding Fathers, as people who's, I say, they were the 1% of the 1% of America, and they gave everything. Most of them died in utter poverty or premature death to create this new nation.
History lesson of Feet on Fire. So,
Do you think that if you played Crokinole with Big George Washington, he would see how terrible that game is?
Oh,
and then
wow.
Not stop Manifest Destiny down at the U.S. He would take over all of Canada just to make sure that that game never gets invented.
Why? Why was that? Why? Yeah, look, we love each other. Oh my God. Shots fired. Look,
I am not worthy.
I mean,
Perfect for George. You know he'd duck him.
oh.
So didn't he like chop down a chair? So it wouldn't be like Hi Ho Cheerio or something? And that'd be a better game to play with George Washington? No, it's not.
Crokinole.
See,
Okay.
George Dubs.
I don't know, Shay. You're gonna have to like
No,
bail me out.
Not
Here's the
George
thing.
W., but like George Washington. Hold on. Not that guy.
How do you pronounce the crocodile? Crocodile?
I know this is gonna sound weird. The game I would pick would be Cards Against Humanity. Yeah, with Robin Williams. Because
Oh God! Oh, that'd be epic.
I feel like the cars would just restrict him.
Yes.
No, but the
I
story
agree.
he'd get. But you know what I mean? Something like funny, like a funny party game
Yeah.
with him.
I feel like it'd be cards with Robin.
What's that?
Yeah, right.
With the meme one though, I would love to
what-
play
oh,
that
yeah,
one.
what's
And he
the
gets
meme?
to act out like all the memes. That would be perfect.
Oh,
I'm
see, so
done.
that
Yeah,
that's
a good
where
one.
I'm at.
Okay.
I
like that one.
love that answer. That's a great answer. I honestly don't know. Like this is a really good Feet to the Fire because I can't answer off the top of my head. That's, I mean, that's a good like if you could, would you type of thing. Man,
You have somebody.
So I'll let him think one more. I got one. Mine.
okay, go ahead.
Okay.
You do yours.
I would play Silver Bayonet, which is a Napoleonics war game, and I would play it with Napoleon.
Yeah, you would.
It would be the most fun to be like the Cossacks and then just run over this man, or like play
He's
it
like,
Russia
this never
in the
happened when I
winter.
did this in real life.
It
But
would
the
be
thing is,
great.
he'd probably be great at it
Yeah, he'd
He
probably
would
be
get so
amazing.
pissed at the
because
dice.
he would be such a strategist.
I
Yeah,
bet he would.
you'd be hung is what would happen. You wouldn't beat him. Let's put it that way. Like you'd see the path to victory. You would just go the other way. Small man syndrome's an issue. So
He wasn't that small though. Realistically, he was like
very
what,
small.
5'8", 5'7".
5'8's not small. 5'8 is not small at all.
I'm pretty sure he was
Yeah.
tiny. You
Yeah,
know,
the
he-
5'8"
I don't have any stake in that. Definitely not 5'8 myself.
So, Dion, give us somebody here.
He wasn't.
We can
like,
wrap up this
super
week's
tiny.
episode.
I don't know. Okay, just off the top of my head
He
here.
was 5'6", by the way. He's a little guy.
5'6" is not. That's not
tiny.
It's 2 inches
That's not-
smaller than
that's not.
5'8".
So small.
That's how math works.
how
Figure that
math
out.
works.
That's math.
Where's my camera?
I'm just gonna shoot. I would Stanley and play that Marvel game that I'm really excited to come out with.
Yeah. Oh,
So you can look at, tell me about
Tell
each
the story of
tell the
the
story
colors.
and how they were, how they happened, and I think that would be a
See,
fun
that's a
one.
great
to play.
answer.
You think so?
That's a great answer.
I
yeah.
just totally. There's so many amazing people in history.
I
Yeah,
know.
and we went through that entire segment, and no one said Kenny G.
keep it
sexy.
but
sexy
he's
with Kenny
not.
G.
I thought you said
Play
alive,
game-
dead.
Yeah, alive.
Or
Or dead,
alive or
yeah.
dead. Oh, because see, I want to play something with.
I'd probably play Dead or
Hitchcock.
Alive with Bon Jovi.
I would not want to sit there and try to teach. Wow. I would not want to sit there and teach anybody like in history a new age board game. That would be the most frustrating. No. You don't understand. It doesn't work like this. It works like. Why can't you catch on to this, right? Because we've had the ability to grow to that. We've had Monopoly and other games all the way up. That you can't like jump. You can't like go back in history and grab one of those. Other than like I guess because they had Napoleon or whatever. He had like spots he could move people.
He was like, I was there, child.
I was there. Yeah, this never happened when I did this in real life. Like, I mean so
Like this is throwing me. Like I would like. I'm thinking
There's so many good
RPGs.
ones. Yeah,
Like I would play Tin Candle with Alfred Hitchcock, and it would be the best Tin Candle game ever.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
probably.
I would
I mean-
play. I would play Super Chex Dome Hockey with my grandpa.
oh,
Oh.
see now you just
Oh,
now,
now it's sad.
you just
now,
like,
now everything is sad.
No, I don't-
Just end
right.
the
I
show.
love the Red Wings. Detroit
there's a
Red
game
Wings
I
was
really want to play.
really
It's
fun
called
to build.
Freedom, and you're
William Wallace?
It's a cooperative game. I just been looking at this one recently.
Freedom.
So you want to play with Mel Gibson?
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done with both of you.
No, I was going with the
Academic Games makes this
Okay.
game. I can't get my hands on it. I
Uh-huh.
could buy it from them directly.
But William Wallace.
Don't
did.
want to. It's called Freedom,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about everybody is trying to. It's about like the Underground Railroad. I'm serious.
I mean, that's a big wild turn.
No.
February.
No.
It's February. He's
Listen,
trying to.
no.
He's trying to represent the community.
Back that out. That is horrible. Erase that shit. I didn't even think of it. I didn't even think of that. I just been following it. I'm really interested in it. Not because of the. No, that is
I
true.
played
This month,
Freedom
all
with
months,
Rosa
Dion.
Parks.
All months. This one.
We'd play it
I've
at
been
the front
trying
of
to
the
get it for a
bus.
while. It wasn't even February when I wanted to play it. Okay.
I can't. We gotta wrap it up.
All right, that's a good place for us to go ahead and wrap up. Again, we want to thank Voss Media Board Game Cafe for sponsoring whatever this is. And of course, as we wrap this up in honor of February, right, Dion, we're going to go ahead and say.
It's not. I really
We're
want
going
to
to go
play
ahead
that
and
game.
say champions never stop gaming.
Happy Black History Month, people. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's playing, by the way.
What's that?
Never stop playing.
It's Champions Never Stop
You
Playing.
guys can't even get the thing right.